I think I'm live. Hi, everyone. Welcome to another one of our LinkedIn live events. We are starting a bit late today because I had consistent internet issues. So let's hope that between this we don't get any interruptions. So today we will be talking about a topic that I haven't spoken about before, which I really don't know why, but it is something that I've consistently gotten in my client cases as well as something that I still get on a daily basis. Like there's one form or the other, right? And we're talking about exhaustion, right? And as we talk about exhaustion, the topic is like really big, so I have divided into two days. So today we'll be doing the first part of the live, and tomorrow we will be doing another part of the live, right? Before we start, I'm just going to quickly check if my internet is working fine. For those of you who don't know and are attending this live for the very first time, probably I explain a topic in detail, and you can ask me as many questions as you want. And if you are watching this as a recording, which a lot of you do, you can just put down any questions that you have in the comment section, or you can also ask me directly by joining my free WhatsApp community called the Safe Space. And if you would like to access free resources on understanding childhood trauma and healing your inner child, understanding relationship wounds, you will have all the resources listed in the feature section of my profile. Okay, I think I am audible and visible. Okay, I do see some internet issues, but let's just hope they are not a lot. Okay, let's begin. So, what is exhaustion? Let's first understand exhaustion, right? When I ask you exhaustion, what is the first definition that comes up to you? What is the first word that comes up to you? What is the first picture that comes up to you? Right? I want you to think about it and write it down. If you're watching this as a recording, pause it. Right? However, to help you understand what exhaustion is, I want you to understand three parameters of it, right? The first parameter to understand is that exhaustion is not physical, exhaustion is mental and emotional, right? A lot of people think that exhaustion means that, oh my God, I'm so tired from the body, or I just can't get up, I feel sick. But exhaustion manifests physically at the last stage. The initial stage of exhaustion starts with the mental decisions that you make and the emotions that keep on getting stored into your body as a result of those thoughts, and as a result of those feelings, as a result of that mental makeup that you have, right? So so sorry. Okay, yeah. If you see me looking down, it's me looking at my notebook so I don't miss any point. So, as I was saying, that exhaustion is first mental and emotional, and then it is physical, right? It is a series of decisions that you make that leads to mental and emotional exhaustion, and then in the end, it manifests as physical exhaustion, and that is why physical exhaustion is a stage of burnout, when where you have just completely reached your limit, and your body has just totally given up, right? Because before the physical exhaustion happens, your mind and your body gives you a lot of signs, right? Like there is this internal voice that does tell you that I've reached my breaking point, I'm reaching my breaking point, or that please stop, right? But based on who you are as a person, based on your tolerance level, based on how healthy of a relationship you have with success, with effort, you decide whether to listen to that voice or not, right? Another thing to understand about exhaustion is that when effort becomes emotional and not strategic, that is when exhaustion happens. So a lot of people think that exhaustion means that you're working very hard, or exhaustion means that, oh, you are in it. But that's not really real, right? Exhaustion always happens when effort is emotional, not strategic. When effort is strategic, that is when you get results. And this is where another nuance I want to add: exhaustion does not mean that you will get results. Please understand this. I can exhaust myself and I can still stay stagnant for years, because exhaustion does not mean results. Exhaustion does not mean that you are actually going to get something out of it. Exhaustion is just exhaustion, right? The strategic effort that you put in is what gives you results. And in exhaustion, what happens is that your effort is emotional in nature, not strategic. How do you understand that? For example, let's say that I want to do this live event for you guys, right? Now, a strategic effort would be to have some points in my mind, some written down like I have right here, and to help you understand it one by one, right? That's strategic effort. It does not exhaust me, it gets my job done, and it yields a result. It leaves you educated. What will be emotional exhaustion? I will practice this for 3 hours straight, trying to perfect it. And till the time I have practiced it to a point where I'm exhausted, I come here and I bomb here because I'm already so exhausted. I'm already so tired, right? That here the results don't actually come out because I'm not speaking from energy, I'm speaking from exhaustion. Another thing to this is, just because I practiced for 3 hours this live event does not mean that it will give me some sort of magical results. Just because I'm exhausted does not mean that my results will be more. And this is a reality a lot of people don't understand. Just because you're exhausted does not mean that you will get more, right? Results come from strategic effort, not emotional effort. And whenever you have this loyalty to like working hard, like struggling, right? And I'm not saying working hard in the right sense, I'm talking working hard in the sense that you have this loyalty to struggle. You feel you glorify struggle, and we'll talk about this later on why we do that. But when you have that mentality, your focus is more towards on how hard I worked, how many hours I worked, rather than whatever it is that I'm doing, is it really going into the right direction, is it really strategic? Because when it comes to strategy, when it comes to strategic work, we measure the length and the breadth of it, right? But when it comes to quantitative effort, which is measured in hours, which is where exhaustion comes from, we just look at, oh, I worked for 4 hours, I worked for 8 hours, I worked for 10 hours, I grinded for 12 hours, I'm not sleeping on time, right? You must have seen some people take pride in that. In fact, you might also have people at your home who take pride in that. That does not yield to anything. So, a very, very important point to understand is that exhaustion does not mean results. Exhaustion is just exhaustion, right? Strategic effort means results. Now, another thing to understand about exhaustion is that it is an identity problem, it is not a work problem. Exhaustion does not happen because you're working more. Surprise. Exhaustion happens because you identify with it. You identify with struggle. Struggle is a part of your identity, either consciously or unconsciously, right? You like seeing yourself grind, right? Somewhere you either take pride in it, somewhere you find your deservingness in it, somewhere you find that that is the only formula to success, whatever it is, but it is an identification with it. It is not because you're working more. Because if it would have really been about work, the most burnt out people in this world would be the richest, or would be creating the most amount of results, but that's not really the truth, right? As I said in the previous point also, right? Exhaustion does not mean results. Exhaustion is an identity issue rather than a work issue. If you're exhausted, it does not tell me that you're working more or that your work is high quality. It just tells me that you have an identity issue. Somewhere on an identity level, you have normalized exhaustion for you, and now it's coming and manifesting into your life. You must have seen a lot of people, right, who are never exhausted and yet they keep on creating results in their life, right? You will always find people like that. When you go and ask them, or when you see their life, you will find that their efforts are very strategic and focused. It is not based on quantity of hours, it is based on the quality of hours, right? And exhaustion is just that. It is not based on quality, it is based on quantity, and it is an identity thing. People who constantly experience exhaustion somewhere believe either they deserve it, somewhere they believe that that is what will give them results, or somewhere they've normalized it for themselves, right? And that is why they vibrate at that exhaustion level. And that is also one of the reasons, even though they don't want to be exhausted, they keep on creating that same cycle. And we'll talk about why they do that. But again, that's an identity issue. You can't, um, you know, you can do a hack to avoid exhaustion. It's not a time management problem. It is not a problem with, oh, just work less, or just spend more time with family. No, we all know that. Exhaustion is at a very deep rooted level, right? It is something that you kind of take as an unconscious decision. It is something that you do because it compels you. Like exhaustion feels like this magnetic force. You may not want it on a surface level, but you still are pulled towards it, right? And exhaustion is the exploitation of your body to match the pain in your head. Now, as I said, right, exhaustion is first a choice. Second, it is something that does not yield results. And third, it is an identity issue. What you need to understand is that exhaustion is a misalignment. Okay, misalignment between your mind and your body, as well as your physical body, right? So when I say mind and body, I want you to understand that I'm talking about your internal space inside the body, right? So to not get confused, let's use the word mind and emotions, right? And physical body, it's a misalignment between them. Your mind and your body stores years and years of memories, things that have happened in your life. And when there is a lot of pain, when there's a lot of unhealed childhood trauma, that pain stays with you. And the price is paid by your physical body. The pain that you have normalized, the struggle, the hardship that you have normalized in your head, emotionally and mentally, you will put your body through that. And that is why exhaustion is the pain that you are trying to match, which is living in your head and in your internal body. It is the trauma response. It is a trauma response, right? So that is why exhaustion starts to become an unconscious choice. You start to make that choice because you don't know how to choose an easy path, because there's a lot of childhood trauma that has gone left unchecked, right? You haven't really healed it, you haven't really actively worked on it. And that is why some people, no matter even if they can choose an easy path, even if they can get everything they want in life through ease, they still end up choosing the hard path. It's because it's a loyalty to their trauma. It is familiar, hardship and struggle is familiar to them. Now let's talk about types of exhaustion. Now exhaustion is not just physical, okay? Exhaustion is mental, exhaustion is emotional, exhaustion is physical, and exhaustion is also spiritual, right? Now let's understand the basic difference between all of them. Just give me a second. I'm going to quickly check if my audio and video is still going fine. I think it is. I don't know. I got a notification that it's getting stuck. I don't know. Let's just hope it's fine. Okay. So you probably understand physical exhaustion by now, but again, we'll talk about it in depth later on as well. Physical exhaustion is something that you feel in the body. Mental exhaustion is something that you start feeling mentally, right? Your thoughts start to tell you, your mental capacity starts to get affected. Like you start to lose your memory, you become disoriented, discipline becomes an issue, procrastination becomes an issue. Emotional exhaustion is the one that you feel in your body the most. The heaviness that you feel, this constant overwhelm that you feel, this constant, um, this constant burden where you feel that I'm just unable to carry my own emotions, or anything that happens in your day-to-day life just pushes you over the edge, right? It makes you very emotional about things, or it makes you feel emotionally fatigued. Like on a general basis, you just feel like, I just don't have the bandwidth to deal with day-to-day life. And spiritual exhaustion is exhaustion where you start feeling disconnected, right? Where you feel like there's just no meaning to life. What is the reason I'm doing this at all? There's just disconnection that you feel with the universe, with a higher power, right? And you start to feel that everything is just meaningless, like there is just no meaning to anything, right? So we are today going to talk about, oh god, what's happened? Okay. We are going to today talk about physical exhaustion, mental exhaustion, and emotional exhaustion, because these are the most important kinds, right? Now, we are going to understand this in terms of how does exhaustion actually manifest. Like, how do we say that I am exhausted? How do I recognize it? This is an important topic because sometimes when things are just normalized, specifically if you grow in a dysfunctional household, you may not even realize you have a problem, right? For example, you must have seen a lot of people around you normalizing very toxic behaviors in marriages or relationships, or toxic way in they parent their children. For example, just recently, I heard from somebody wherein they were trying to confront their mother about how their mother used to talk to them, and their mother ended up saying that, oh, this is how parents are, you know and this particular person had normalized that mother's toxic behavior for a very very long time. And now that they're educating themselves, they finally had the confidence, I would say, or courage, I would say, to stand up to their mother and call them out that no, this is not normal, don't normalize toxicity. But they had normalized it for a very long time, and that they had to pay the price for it. Of course, it affected their confidence, it affected their self-belief. If in turn it affected their professional success also. So the point I'm trying to make is that it's very important to understand the manifestation of it, because sometimes you see a lot of people around you practice it and you normalize it. For example, if you are in a family where physical abuse is very common in marriages, and something like that happens to you, people around you will normalize it for you. They will just make you feel like, oh, it's okay, it's a status quo, just because they accepted it. And just because everybody is accepting something does not make it right, does not make it healthy. and you don't have to, and you should not have to put up with it, right? So that is why we are going to understand the manifestation of it, so that you get the knowledge to differentiate between this is normal and this is not, right? Now, physical manifestation of exhaustion, how it will start. The very first thing is that, and this is a very common thing, by the way, I've seen again and again. A dormant disease that you may have had will start to resurface. For example, let's say, for years you never really had any, let's say breathing problem. Okay, let's say for years you did not have a breathing problem, and suddenly you start having it, and you feel like, oh, what is happening. You may call it age, you may call it this, you may call it that, but whenever somebody has a sudden arrival of a disease, I always encourage them to check within what was happening in their life and what was happening in their internal space. Because physical manifestation of exhaustion starts like that. A suddenly dormant disease may get activated. Similarly, let's say there was a genetic predisposition of a disease for you. For example, let's say some sort of an allergy was a recessive gene in you. They may become active because of the amount of exhaustion that and the amount of stress that you're experiencing. The recessive gene of, let's say, having an allergy may get activated, or any other genetic disease that you may have, right? Another thing is that you suddenly, you are getting a lot of body aches, and there's no way to explain it. You're not exercising a lot, nothing of that sort is happening. Or it's not like you've sprained something, but you keep on getting body aches here and there, or there's this constant pain in one part of your body, either your back, your neck, your head, wherever it is, right? Another thing is that you constantly are always in a sick mode. Like, like one or the other thing is always happening to you or your body, right? I'll tell you a real life case. So I worked with a client, I think around 2 years back, and when we started working together, and casually in the first session, this person mentioned that, what, Rianshi, I'm always running a fever. Like, no matter what the weather is, I'm always running a 101 or 102 fever, and I've consulted a lot of doctors around it, and nothing has really worked. And like, I understood it. We spoke about it, and suddenly, after around 6 to 7 sessions, which was around, I think, 2.5 months, he told me that, Rianchi, for the last like 6 weeks, I have not had a fever at all. And I said, that's great. What do you think has changed? And then he told me that nothing has changed in my life apart from the fact that I'm releasing a lot of trauma from my body in our sessions. And I was very surprised because, of course, I had read it in theory that this happens, but it was happening to my client. Similarly, a lot of like, with a lot of my clients, some of them stopped having painful periods. For a lot of women clients, for a lot of clients who were men, they stopped having sudden pains in their back. For a lot of my clients, they started basically having overall better health, because everything that was weighing them down internally, that was invisible, the trauma that was bringing them down, they started releasing it. Because here's the thing, right? Trauma is like like energy into 100, right? It's like 100x of your emotions. And energy is neither created nor destroyed. So when you have undergone childhood trauma, it doesn't go away just because you decide to ignore it. It gets stored in your body. And when something is getting stored in your body, of course your body will feel the weight of it, right? It will try to fight it. So, when you start releasing trauma from your body, you will also see a change in your physical health, because nothing is weighing it down anymore, right? So, when you constantly are in this sick mode, or when you're constantly having pains or aches and stuff like that, then you need to see whether there is an exhaustion cycle that is repeating. And physical manifestation of exhaustion is always a last stage. Last stage. It is like your body is such a beautiful mechanism that it will keep on telling you again and again, I need help, I need help, I need help. It is only when you ignore it for a very long time that the body will break down, right? Okay, now let's talk about mental exhaustion. How do I understand that I'm exhausted? Through mental manifestation of it. The very first and the most common thing I've seen is forgetfulness. If you constantly forget things, like something or the other is always on your mind, and for example, you get up to get a glass of water, and by the time you enter your kitchen, you've forgotten why you're there. Or you have kept your keys at the same place for years in your house, and suddenly you just don't remember where you kept the keys anymore. Or you just keep on forgetting things. That forgetfulness has sort of become a part of you. So forgetfulness often happens when the buzz in your brain is louder than your active thinking. So that is what forgetfulness is. And when you are exhausted, your mind doesn't have the capacity to remember things, right? It is just checked out. You're mentally checked out, and you're just going on autopilot, which is another manifestation, by the way, mental manifestation. When you're on autopilot, in the sense like you're waking up like a zombie, you are going to the bathroom to brush your teeth, you're getting out, you're dressing up, you're going to office. There's just no active thought as to what is happening in your life. You're just on autopilot. Things are repeating day after day after day. Every day looks the same. You are doing the same thing. There is no creation in your life. Like, you are not creating your day. Your day has been created by someone else, and you're just a mere spectator of it, a follower of it, right? So being on autopilot is also a sign of mental exhaustion, because you just don't have the energy to create anymore, right? The next one, which is again a very visible sign, is being in a constant state of alert, right? Being in this constant state of, oh my god, I have to do this, oh my god, I have to do that. Waking up with a state of dread. Oh my god, there's so much to do today. I have to do this, I have to do that, right? So when this constant state of alert, this constant state of dread that there is so much to do, is also a sign of exhaustion, right? Because your body has kind of become paralyzed. Like, it doesn't know how to deal with things strategically in it, like, as an adult, right? It's always overwhelmed. When you're constantly overwhelmed, it is a sign that you have either reached exhaustion, or you're on the verge of reaching that exhaustion, but you are there. Because this constant state of alert, this constant state of dread, is a sign that your mental faculties are not working properly anymore, right? The next sign is not being able to make decisions, always feeling confused, always feeling like, should I do this, should I do that, is this the right thing, is that the right thing? So this constant decision fatigue, or uh, if not even decision fatigue, just not being able to make decisions. Like, let's say you get up and you have to decide, you know, what pair of jeans am I supposed to wear. Just that decision makes you feel like, I just don't want to decide. Like, I don't know how to decide. Why do I have to decide? Your brain is just so tired that it just does not want to make a decision, right? And this is something that I've commonly seen with people who experience professional blocks, and money blocks, um, because they are not working on their exhaustion from a trauma healing point of view. They start stagnating in their life, and they don't even realize it, right? Stagnation happens in your life when you stop making decisions, when you go into autopilot. So when decision making becomes very difficult for you, it means that you have either reached exhaustion, or you're just almost there. The next thing is procrastination. Now, I've made a very wonderful live event already on it. If you don't know, you can just go to my YouTube channel where I upload the live events, and you can find the video on procrastination there. But procrastination is what? Procrastination is, again, misalignment of your goals versus what is going on in your head in terms of your thoughts, feelings, your internal strengths, your desires. So when you're constantly procrastinating, it is also a sign that your mind is just so exhausted, it doesn't want to do the task at hand anymore. Like, it's easier to steal time by procrastinating, because procrastination is just that, stealing time from yourself, right? So you steal time when the time is not there for you, like in the sense that you don't really have time for yourself. When you don't have time for yourself, in order to survive, your body will steal time through procrastination, which means that, again, you have either reached exhaustion, or you're reaching there. Okay, the next sign is, I think I'm out of focus. Okay, let's hope it comes back. The next sign is not being able to concentrate. So again, right, concentration is nothing but focus. I don't know how to fix this. Okay. So concentration is nothing but your all of your mental faculties focused on one thing. Now, if your mental faculties are exhausted, how do you focus? How do you focus? How do you concentrate? It's not possible. It's exhausted, right? It's like expecting a car with no fuel to run on, to run at 200 per hour. It's not going to happen. It's not going to work, no matter how much you push it. And that is why concentration is a lot more about how mentally rejuvenated you are versus, time management or meditation or this or that. So when concentration becomes very difficult for you, it means that mentally you are just not replenished, you're just not nourished, right? And The last thing I want to mention is that tasks that used to be manageable before have suddenly become very difficult. For example, let's say cooking breakfast used to be the most easiest thing for you, right? Like it used to bring you joy, or it used to be just easy, but suddenly it just feels like I don't want to do it. Why do I have to do it? It just feels so difficult, right? So things that you used to enjoy, things that were manageable for you, things that were very doable for you, now feel like I just don't want to do it, right? That is also a sign of mental exhaustion. Now, coming to emotional exhaustion. Okay, before I start this, I will just again quickly check if you're doing fine internet wise. I think yes. Yeah, I think we're fine. Let's go ahead. Now, let's talk about some symptoms or some manifestations of emotional exhaustion. The first one is irritability. When you're constantly irritable, right? Now, you have to understand that irritability comes when your body just does not have the bandwidth to handle any external stimuli, right? Where you just feel like, just, take this away from me. It's like in the morning, you don't mind the truck honking, but by the end, when you're extremely exhausted after a really long day, just even somebody laughing loudly can just tick you off. It can make you feel really irritated. It's because your body has reached its level of external stimuli, right? Similarly, emotionally speaking, when you are just emotionally completely exhausted for whatever reason, right? Maybe you are not dealing with issues in your life that you're supposed to, you're running away from them, or there's a lot of childhood trauma that is keeping you on the edge, but you're not really working on it, or there is some relationship issues, whatever issues there are emotionally, and you're not resolving it. Your capacity to deal with day-to-day life becomes very difficult. So anything can tick you off. So usually people who are irritable a lot, right, they are usually people who are not dealing with their emotions in a healthy way, and that is why they're always very overwhelmed, and that is why easily irritable, right? Now the second thing is constant oscillation in your moods, right? Like your emotional world is not stable. It's like oscillating. Some days you're very happy, some days you're very sad, or any reaction that you have to something is just very extreme. Like if you dislike somebody, you hate them till death. If you like somebody, you just love them, right? So when there's this constant oscillation in emotions, like there's no stability, that is also a sign of emotional exhaustion. It's because you don't know how to regulate your emotions, right? And we can only regulate our emotions when we have the space to regulate it. When we constantly pick extremes, right, it is because we don't want to do the work to regulate it, because we have just reached our limit. We just don't want that. So constant oscillation between moods is also a sign of emotional exhaustion. And the next point is not having the bandwidth to deal with normal day-to-day emotional changes. So what does this mean? For example, let's say you are a corporate employee. Now you go to the office. Of course, somebody may say something that may upset you, or you may not have a very good day. Your boss may say something, your manager may say something, your colleague may say something, or you're just simply stuck in traffic and you can't do anything about it. So these are like day to day irritable things or day to day hindrances. If you are emotionally exhausted, you will become very overwhelmed by this. Like you must have heard some people say, right, that someday I just broke down in the middle of being in the office, or somebody honked at me and I just started crying, or that my boss said this, I don't know why I started crying. So when some like day to day irritables push you over the edge, it's because you've reached your limit in emotions. Like you cannot deal with any more emotions, right? Like anything external that happens that is uncomfortable, it like pushes you towards the edge. So your bandwidth to deal with day to day emotions, right? For example, let's say you have some relatives coming over and they tend to be a bit snarky and sarcastic. The thought of them coming over makes you feel, makes you go and freeze, or makes you feel like, oh my god, I can't deal with it, makes you cry, right? So what is that? Not having the bandwidth to deal with emotional changes, or to deal with changes that is happening outside of me, because my emotions just tell me I don't have it in me. That's also emotional exhaustion, right? Now the next thing is when you deal with day-to-day things in dysfunctional through dysfunctional emotions or through unhealthy emotions like anger, getting angry a lot, or getting starting to cry, starting to break down at any simple thing, or going completely numb, blocking out your emotions completely, or ignoring somebody completely, basically not dealing with things in a healthy manner, right? Like bringing out all the dysfunctional ways to deal with things, right? So when that is the case, it is also because your body is telling you that I don't have it in me, like I'm just going to cope. So coping can mean anything, right? Coping can mean shutting down, coping can mean attacking somebody, coping can mean going into the freeze mode, coping can mean anything. So you're coping, right? You're coping through day-to-day life, you're not dealing, you're not resolving. Okay, now let's talk about why do we actually choose exhaustion. Now there are multiple reasons for it. Today we are going to discuss essentially 5 points, and the next 5 points and other manifestations of exhaustion is something that I'm going to be discussing in part 2, because I don't want to make this live event like 1.5 hour 2 hour long. I want to keep it till 45 to 50 minutes. Okay, so why do we choose exhaustion? Now, I told you in the beginning also that exhaustion is not something that happens automatically, right? Exhaustion becomes an unconscious or a conscious choice. It's very important for us to understand why that becomes a choice, because unless and until we don't recognize it as a choice, we will not be able to bring about a change, right? Anytime we say that someone else or something else is responsible for me being exhausted, we basically very conveniently say that I'm not responsible for it. We take no accountability of it, and anything you don't take accountability for will never change, right? Okay, before we do, I'm going to check if we have any questions so far. Where can I find the boot camp? You can just find it in the feature section of my profile. Or as you can see in this blue line, you can just DM me and I would be happy to send it to you. Okay, I don't see any questions apart from just this one. Okay, we will move forward. LinkedIn is a very weird, like weird way of showing the live. Like it sometimes opens up and it just sometimes closes automatically. I don't know. Okay, so why do we choose exhaustion, right? Now, the very first reason we choose exhaustion is because it is a learned behavior from our surroundings in our childhood. So you have to understand that you don't suddenly have a personality because that is how you were born with. Personality is ever evolving. So you are the way you are because we are a product of our surroundings. So growing up, when you see in your surroundings, specifically the primary caregiver to you, and usually the primary caregivers to us are our parents, unless we were raised by somebody else. When we see them constantly normalizing exhaustion, constantly displaying exhaustion, and basically making it seem like this is how life is, you will also start to do that. Exhaustion will become your baseline, right? And when you make something your baseline, you will always fall to it, because we always fall to the lowest standard that we have for ourselves, right? So people who repeatedly experience exhaustion are people who somewhere normalize it in their life. You will never see somebody experience exhaustion who does not normalize it. You will never see someone struggling unless they have normalized it. Whatever we experience, we somewhere normalize it, we somewhere believe that this is acceptable. So when you grow up in a household where exhaustion was normalized, where exhaustion was considered like, oh, it's a part and parcel of life, you also normalize it, and as a result, growing up, you make your life harder, right? For example, you must have seen some people say that I can't hire help, I can't hire a cook, I can't hire a maid, right? Even though they can very well afford it, because I just like things my way. Now on a surface level it may feel like, oh yeah, they like things their way, but on a deeper discussion you will also find that they just find it hard to delegate things, right? And a big reason why delegation is a problem for some people is because exhaustion is something that comes easier to them than delegation, right? and they hide it by saying that, or they disguise it by saying that, oh, I just like it on doing on my own, right? So when there has been a lot of learned behavior from surroundings around normalizing exhaustion, of course you will end up choosing that. The second thing is when exhaustion was glorified and rewarded in your household. So if you always saw your parents, talking like, oh, we used to walk 10 kilometers, I used to work 12 hours for my father, and I used to get so less money, and I sacrificed this, I sacrificed that, I did this, I did that. So when they're constantly glorifying struggle in front of you, when they're constantly glorifying exhaustion in front of you, like I had a client once who used to tell me that, Rianshi, I hate household chores. And one of the reasons I hate it is because my mother constantly always told me from my childhood that how much she has done. And whenever we used to tell her that, you can hire maid, she would constantly say no. She would complain about exhaustion, but she would also want other people to appreciate that she's exhausted, right? Because she took a lot of pride in her exhaustion. So similarly, this was just an example. There are a lot of stories like this. But when you are rewarded, and when exhaustion is glorified, like when you look at somebody, you say, oh, it's working so hard. So you look at their exhaustion, not the results. When that is the case, again, you will choose exhaustion unconsciously, because it is a way how you were seen. Like it is what was taught to you in the childhood, that if you uh, are exhausted, and parents often call it hard work, parents often call it perseverance, but when you are rewarded for exhaustion growing up, that is what becomes your personality. You do more of it, because as a child you learn to do more of what you're rewarded for. So when your parents put extra emphasis on exhaustion, when they look down upon people who have an easy life, like you must have seen some people who say that, oh, you know what, he's living abroad, he's having an easy life. Or, oh, you know what, she's not doing household chores, she has an easy life, what a horrible thing. Or, oh, look at him, he's not doing anything. So when you have people like that in your home, who look down on an easy life and glorify a struggling life, it is very it is going to be very likely that you will end up doing the same thing. Not exactly like your parents, but in other ways, making it harder for you, right? Not choosing a convenient option, choosing a harder option, making it hard for yourself to get help, to receive help, deliberately choosing the hard path. And this often happens because there's an inner child, a wounded inner child, who wants to show his or her parents that, look, mom and dad, I'm doing what you taught me. Look, mom and dad, look at me, I'm doing exactly what you used to appreciate. So it's a way to be seen by your parents. It's a way to sort of feel that, oh, my mom and dad will feel so proud of me. And this is a very unconscious dialogue, by the way. Like, on a conscious level you may not accept it, but it's a very unconscious dialogue your inner child has with your parents, wherein this inner child feels that, if I take the hard path, I'm doing the right thing, my mom and dad will appreciate me. So it's an unconscious way of seeking that validation. Now, the third point is when your self worth is attached to exhaustion. And this is an extension of the point that I just mentioned, that when your parents put excessive emphasis on something, right? They celebrate you for being exhausted. They celebrate you, oh my God, my daughter or my son studied for 8 hours. My daughter and son does this. He works for, 12 hours. He does this, stuff like that. You start to attach your self worth with exhaustion, right? So when things can happen easily to you, you don't believe it. Like, you must have seen some people being very cynical, right? In Hindi they say, ऐसा तो हो ही नहीं सकता है, इतने जल्दी थोड़ी ना होता है, इतनी easy थोड़ी ना होती है लाइफ, इतना इतना असली में हो ही नहीं सकता है, ये तो सिर्फ लक की बात है. You must have seen some people being very cynical, right? Because exhaustion is so decoded in them that they derive their self-worth from it. Like, if their life becomes easy, they don't know who they are anymore. You must have seen both men and women do that. You must have seen some of your fathers may be like that they will deliberately choose the cheapest option. Let's say if they want to choose a hotel, they will choose the cheapest option. If they want to go on a vacation, they will choose the cheapest option. Maybe some of your mothers deliberately do household chores even if they have the option to hire help, because they derive their self-worth from it, right? So when you derive your self-worth from exhaustion, ease feels like an attack on your self-worth. Ease feels like that, if I choose easy, then what am I doing? Who am I? Because I derive my self-worth from living a hard life. you know I tell myself that I deserve good things because I struggled for it, not because I just deserve it, right? So when your self-worth is attached to exhaustion, you will always end up attracting it, or you will always end up choosing the hard path, because we all always choose things that confirms with our self-worth. We will never go against it, right? So when your self-worth comes from exhaustion, you will end up choosing that. Now the next point is when there is inherited pain from your parents. Now this is where intergenerational trauma comes into the picture. When your parents have struggled their entire life, right? There are certain behaviors that gets decoded in their genes, right? And those are things that you inherit from them. You inherit from them through two ways. One is it is simply, epigenetics. Those are things, those are nature, those are behaviors of like inherited from your parents. Second is the stories that you've heard from them, the consistent behaviors that you have seen them display, you absorb it, right? So it is an inherited pain from your parents. It's like a language where you basically say that I cannot live a good life because my parents could not. Right? So there is this guilt attached to living an easy life. There is a guilt attached to living a good life. There's a guilt attached to living a life where you're not exhausted. Because there's this a very unconscious thought that, my parents didn't get to live it. So how can I? Or my parents had such a hard life. So how can I have an easy life? Right? So it's inherited pain that makes you choose a hard path. That makes you choose a hard life. So inherited pain plays out in your life because it is how you belong to your parents, right? In the world of trauma, we always say that you always choose a path that makes you feel closer to your parents, right? And inherited when there's inherited pain, specifically when this intergenerational trauma is not healed, you may end up belonging to your parents through dysfunctional behaviors. Like even let's say you saw your father have anger issues your entire life, and you knew how much it affects you, yet you may end up exercising those same anger issues, let's say, on your partner or on your child, right? Because those dysfunctional behavior is how you display your loyalty to your system, right? And that is why inherited pain also plays a very very big role in you unconsciously choosing a hard path again and again. Again, for example, let's say that your parents um, always struggled with money their entire life, because of which they had a lot of limiting beliefs around money, and you inherited that, and as a result of it, you find it very difficult to um, venture into paths in your life that can make money for you. For example, let's say you want to invest in a course, but you don't have the money right now. You can easily borrow from someone, but you don't want to do that because you think, oh, my self-respect is coming in the middle. It's not self-respect, it's your money blocks. You find it hard to receive money that can come easily. Similarly, let's say you can start a side project, you can start a side hustle, and that involves you investing in yourself. You may find it difficult, right? Similarly, let's say you know that you're struggling with your confidence, you're struggling with exhaustion, you're struggling with a lot of unhealed childhood trauma. You can work on yourself by investing in your inner work, but you may find it very difficult to do that because in your head you may feel like, oh my god, do I deserve to spend on myself? Because those are the money blocks you inherited from your parents. So inherited pain, inherited exhaustion also plays a big role, because that is the language of your inner child to your parents, that look, mom and dad, I'm just like you, or look, mom and dad, I belong to you, right? So, for today, I want to cap our live event to this. We will be picking up this discussion tomorrow, and we will be talking about more on why we choose exhaustion. And we will also be discussing some coping mechanisms like addictions, as well as other behaviors that come as a result of exhaustion. And that's again a very important aspect of a discussion. So, for those of you who joined me, thank you so much for joining in. And for those of you who watch this as a recording, I hope you got value, and I hope that you watch the second part too. Thank you so much, and I will see you tomorrow. Bye bye.